Anthem's got bugs, y'all. Bad bugs. Not even bed bugs. They just got bad bugs. And they need to be fixed. And welcome to the Gaming News Mashup, running on all the trending news stories in gaming that you might have missed for the week. This week, Anthem's recent bugs might give it an unfavorable destiny, Xbox One might ditch the disc, and PlayStation gets cozy with iOS. Let's mash up the news. It was reported this week that the upcoming Xbox One could possibly come with no disc slot. Now, I know that some of y'all may be like, that's just the way it is, that's where we're going, no more discs, but to me, that's kind of a big deal. Now, I know for some of y'all that are like PC gamers, so probably like to use the Steam box that doesn't have a disc, so it's all digital, and that's how you get your content. But I know, like for me, I like having physical media, so it's kind of like, now I know this is going to be for all the upcoming Xbox One consoles that may come out, but this particular one could just be, I'm going to say like a refresh version of the Xbox One S without a disc. And rumors are that it might actually come out sooner than later, so we can actually see it maybe sometime this year, maybe closer to May timeframe. That's what's being reported. But what are your thoughts about it not having a disc? Do you think that's something that's like necessity? I mean, do you think it's okay that it doesn't have one? I mean, the whole thought behind this is that if they don't have a disc, they're going to be pushing the Xbox Game Pass. And I guess that's fine. I mean, you can just get about any game you can get on a disc, you can get it digitally. So, I mean, it's really not, doesn't have to have one. I know that if you want to be able to have an Xbox One S and play Blu-rays, I guess that's going to be your only downfall. But I mean, you could always use Vudu and some of the streaming services. I mean, me personally, I buy Blu-ray discs still, and I immediately use a digital copy, and so I can watch the disc if I have it, or if I'm away from home, or if I don't have time to get the disc, I can just load it up on my console and watch it digitally. So what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. It was announced this week that Sony has finally brought remote play to iOS. Now, I know some of you are like, wait, what? So if you're not familiar with remote play, what you're allowed to do, which you can kind of do this on the Xbox app already, but with your phone, at first it was only for some of the Sony Xperia phones. You could load up the remote play app, and you were able to basically use your phone as a controller or play the game from the phone with your PlayStation remotely. So you don't have to actually have a controller. You can use your phone and play the game. There's even like this cool little, PlayStation-like controller that Bluetooth to the phone, and it had a little prop so you can hold up your phone so you're actually just playing it from your phone, which is freaking cool. So you could be, I guess, on the pot and play the game, or, I don't know, you have to be within proximity of the house on the same Wi-Fi, so you can't be like driving around town playing the game. But I mean, it's still cool to know that you could be in other parts of your house doing things, or just not, locked to the TV and still play your games. You can still play Fortnite or whatever you're going to play. Now, you would think that since the Sony Xperia phones are Android-based, that these would also be already available for other Android phones, but they're not. So they decided to bypass all the other Android phones and make it available for the iPhone and the iPad. You heard me right. So if you have an iPhone 7 or newer, or if you have a 6th gen iPad with iOS 12.1 or newer, you can basically have this app and play your PlayStation games on those devices remotely. And I personally have an iPhone, but I came from Android, so I kind of feel like this is kind of like, well, maybe this is Sony's way of just, giving it to Android, since they don't have much of the market anymore. At least I know in the US, they have a really big following overseas. I don't really know what their thought process is, but, hey, I think that there's a lot of Samsung users out there, especially with Fortnite, giving them, some type of buy-in for the game. It would seem like this would be kind of a double win for them if they're able to give the remote app to some of the newer phones that are coming out. Just some food for thought, Sony. Maybe something you should think about. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to utilize the remote play app, and if you're an iPhone user, if you're actually going to use this. All right, and finally we come down to Anthem. Now, for those that aren't familiar, Anthem, from what I gather, I have not personally played the game, but it comes across as a very kind of Destiny/Halo type game at the moment. So not player versus player, but player versus environment. And from what I've seen, the game actually looks pretty cool. I guess it's made with BioWare and with EA, and kind of has some similarities to Titanfall, but there's been just a ton of bugs that have been plaguing it lately. I'm sure you've heard some of them in the news. If you haven't, there's been one, probably the bigger one that you probably could hear about, is that it could brick your PlayStation 4. You heard me right. So if you were to be playing a game and load it up, there's a chance that it could shut down your PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 may not wake up. Now, in most cases, it actually just shuts it down. There's been like 1 or 2 people that have been affected the fact that it does not come back up, but that's been one of the main bugs that has been plaguing the game. The other one being that you can do a level 1 weapon that actually acts a lot more powerful than it is. Now, for me that maybe plays the game for the first time, that would be like more of a benefit to me because I'm not a hardcore gamer. So me having that glitch of an advantage, I would personally like that. So if my level 1 rifle was actually shooting, you know, a lot higher than it should be, we can keep that glitch around. That's okay. That's also one of the glitches going on. And actually leading up to that, there has been a player that has been banned by EA for supposedly taking advantage of the glitches, like exploiting them. That's taken a little bit too far. I think that if your game has had known bugs and you are reporting them on Twitter and on Reddit and on all these places and people are aware of them, you cannot ban somebody for trying to utilize that while the game is still going on, especially when it doesn't harm anybody else. This would be different if you're doing player versus player and you're exploiting that level 1 rifle up and you're basically becoming on top in all the games because you know the exploit and some people don't. Then I could see, yeah, that person maybe needs to be banned or, you know, be reprimanded. But banning somebody for taking advantage of the glitches that you obviously didn't know about, I'm sorry, that's not that person's fault. That person has been allowed to play the game again, but still does not look good for EA. Now, there are fixes in the works, and I believe EA is even starting to give some refunds out for the people that are affected by the console shutdowns. But yeah, that kind of sucks. I think that this game could have potential just from what I've read and seen. And I think that, I mean, I don't know what kind of beta testing that they did. And maybe they didn't know about these issues till it was released. But yeah, you need to get those taken care of, like, quickly. I think that if it continues down this route, things aren't going to be good for the game, not good for BioWare. And it's going to be a real sore spot in people's minds for EA. I guess you could just stick to EA Sports. You know, maybe that's better games for you, but let me know in the comments below what you think if you're one of the Anthem players and if you've been plagued by any of the bugs and what your thoughts are. And that's it for this week's Gaming News Mashup. Make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to hit more gaming news, make sure to subscribe and notification bell so you miss any new videos. And I'll see you at the next mashup.